And as you see, the limit does not exist from either side. It exists from the left and from the right. From the left is 2, from the right is 5. The function value is 5, which we don't care when we calculate the limit. But the limit does not exist because I cannot show the mechanism for every possible epsilon, as big as you want, as small as you want. Okay, enough of that. So now let me share my screen. And let's start with this problem. Just one or any graph, really. Any graph. I like to show a graph. These are not linear functions. Look, this is x squared. So this is the square root of x. So these are not linear functions. This is another function given to us. It's not linear. And then I'll show you an example of showing the proof from the beginning till the end for a linear function only. That's all I need. So let's start with number 1 if that's what you want, or if you want to pick something else, just let me know.
In the number 4.
So for number 4, we have used the given interval of f of x equals x squared to find a number delta such that. So I'm going to copy. So this is, I have to copy the graph real quick. So this is x squared. Good. Then we have 1. And then I copy a question mark here, and then I have 0.5. And then we have 1, of course, and then we have 1.5. Okay, perfect. So they want us to find delta such that x minus 1 is less than delta, and then x squared minus 1 is less than 1/2. Perfect. Great job. Okay. So remember our definition, and we have to start with epsilon. Can anyone looking at the graph give us epsilon? Because every delta depends on the epsilon.
It's 1/2.
Say,
it's not.
Say it again. I just didn't hear.
Half, right?
I just didn't hear. Sorry. I talked at the same time to you. My apologies.
Okay, I'm breaking up. Okay, is it 0.5?
Exactly. Awesome. Yeah. Excellent. Epsilon is 0.5. So for this epsilon, which is a positive number, of course, I will be able to find the corresponding delta such that. So from here, I will find the delta positive such that this happens. The absolute value of x minus 1 is less than delta. Every time I pick x close to 1, then this will imply exactly what we see here. X squared minus 1 is less than 1/2. Perfect. So now we have to analyze this situation and see how we solve this inequality. Can anyone tell us what to do here? How do we solve an absolute value inequality? This is an absolute value inequality. How do I solve this? Anyone remembers how to solve an inequality like this with less than or equal to? Because the other possibility is with greater than or equal to, which is not the case here.
Can we set it up like we did in the other problem where we have it have one scenario where it is less than 0 and one scenario where it's greater than 0?
Very good point. For inequalities, it's not a mistake, but there is a procedure that we use for which is a shortcut. Yes, I agree. You can simplify this function without the absolute value and then solve different inequalities. Correct. I agree. But we do have a procedure for this that is much simpler. I'm not disagreeing that option. It's a very good option. But we can skip that step. Anyone else remembers how to convert this into something else without absolute value? So this particular inequality changes into negative 1/2 less than or equal to x squared minus 1 less than 1/2. there is no equal to, so I don't have equal to, sorry. Got carried away. So let me write on the side. We have two types of absolute value inequalities. One, the absolute value of x, just in general, less than or equal to a number p, and the absolute value greater than or equal to a number p. This one solves into or changes into the negative p less than or equal to x less than or equal to p. And this one changes into the absolute value, I didn't mean to work with the absolute value, greater than or equal to p or x less than or equal to negative p. Okay, so please review these two types of absolute value inequalities. We only have two types. So this is what we're looking at. How do I continue here? Now this is a compound inequality, it's no longer absolute value, so this is a compound inequality. So what should I do first? What would be the first step towards solving this inequality? Anyone?
You add 1 to both sides.
Awesome. So negative 1/2 plus 1 will be 1/2. This is x squared, and this is 1/2 plus 1 will be 3/2. Great job. Yes, we add 1 to all three sides. Perfect. Good. Next. And the next step is extremely important because it cannot always be applied in an inequality. But what type of number is this?
Fraction?
Positive. Yes, but positive. When we talk about type of numbers, normally we say positive or negative, or real or imaginary, more or less. This is also a positive number. What did we say about taking the square root of x squared? I don't remember reviewing this with you.
They cancel out, so it would just be x.
Careful. It's the absolute value of x. Because this number is always what type of number?
Positive.
Good. If I omit the absolute value here, this number could be negative. So therefore, this has to be always positive. So I see that all these are positive. I will take the square root from all sides. However, be careful. This is allowed only when I know that all of them are positive. Because if I have negative 1, less than 4, and less than 10, I cannot take the square root because this is not positive. So we apply here, apply square root to all three sides because they are all positive. The left-hand side will be the square root of 1/2. The middle has to be this, right? The absolute value of x. And the right-hand side, the square root of 3/2. You can say, but since these are positive, you can omit the absolute value. Yes, I agree. But in general, I want you to remember the square root of x squared is the absolute value of x, unless we know for sure that x is positive. Okay, so then our inequality now is the square root of 1/2 less than x less than the square root of 3/2. We're after this. We have to subtract 1 from all three sides and then decide what delta will be. So subtract 1 from all three sides. I have the square root of 1/2 minus 1 less than x minus 1 less than the square root of 3/2 minus 1. Now, what happens here is I have to identify this, which was going to be a negative number, and I have to identify this, which is going to be a positive number. So that will give us the interval here. Then we will choose the smallest of these two distances. If this is smaller, that will be our delta. If this is smaller, that will be our delta. And then obviously we know we don't need these two. but we just need to identify delta. That's all they want us to find. Another way would have been, but I wanted to review the absolute value inequalities and everything with you. The other one will be to set x squared equals to 1.5 and set x squared equals to 0.5 and determine which one is smaller. Take the square root. Of course, you will get positive and negative, but you only choose the positive side. So I'm going to finish this up in a second. So from here, when you take the square root of 1.5, what do we get? What did I do with my calculator? Here it is. So the square root of 1.5, that would be 1.2247. I don't know how many digits they want. I forgot to look. And the square root of 0.5. And this will be 0.70716 if you want. And now we subtract from 1. From 1.22, we subtract 1. And we get that this piece is 0.2247. And then from 1, we subtract this, so 1 minus, and we get 0.2928. This is 0.2928. Which one we will have to pick? That's not our choice. So one possible delta is 0.2928, and one possible delta is 0.2247. Which one must be the one we choose?
0.2247.
0.2247. So we already know the delta is 0.2247. Oops, I went to the other page. Okay, so it's 0.2247. So now here, to finish this up, I get the same thing, the square root of 1.5, exactly what we just did a second ago, and minus 1. So this side will be the 0.2247. And this one I wouldn't even discuss because it will get a negative number anyway, and we don't need it anyway. So this is our delta, exactly what we did step by step. Delta cannot be a negative number. So the left-hand side will be, one more time, the square root of 0.5 and then minus 1. It's exactly the other one, but with negative. So negative 0.29289. But we have to write this as the absolute value of x minus 1. And I have to choose the smaller of the two. So this one will be disregarded anyway. So it's less than delta, which is 0.2247. Any questions?